Storms of the Century.
Welcome back to the Weather Channel's Storms of the Century. In the summer of 1999, with the end of the century fast approaching, we asked our experts to select the most important weather events of the last 100 years. It didn't take them long to pick as number 5 a hurricane that devastated one of America's most populated areas. Let's eavesdrop as they debate the Great New England Hurricane of 1938.
I think the 38 New England hurricane should be there because it points out a risk in areas that haven't really had it too bad lately.
And you can imagine what that would do to this another time, an identical hurricane out around the Hamptons, and you got all this very expensive property that would be wiped out, no doubt about it.
1938, there's also the element of drama in that you've got a hurricane that's interacting, this is meteorological, with a trough that accelerates to 60 miles per hour. Meteorologically, that doesn't occur very often.
Now, clearly with 38, you're looking at an accelerating hurricane about ready to whack a populated area, and you're thinking, oh my goodness.
Something that does an unusual loop, something that goes an unusual track, intensification, acceleration, to me tells more of a story.
You've heard the experts talk about it. Now let's see the Weather Channel's number 5 storm of the century, the Great New England Hurricane of 1938.
Was the greatest ever caused by a hurricane in this country up to that point. People just simply had no time to prepare and were caught completely off guard.
September 19th, 1938. A powerful hurricane speeds toward Florida. Residents frantically prepare for landfall. But as the storm approaches the coast, it suddenly veers northward, just brushing the southeast. By 7 a.m. on the 21st, it's already off the tip of North Carolina and turning quickly toward the north.
It came out of the east, moved close to the Bahamas, and then took a turn toward the north. Most hurricanes veer then back out to sea. This one went straight north, accelerated very quickly, and headed right toward New England.
As the hurricane roared into Long Island, it was packing winds well over 100 miles per hour, blowing away rooftops and trees. But New England, already inundated by several days of rain caused by a stationary front, would suffer most dramatically from the surge. Water rose quickly, flooding homes and businesses. And on top of the surge, huge waves rode into shore, ripping apart anything that stood in their path.
Essentially, it was a storm that was simply beyond their experience, and it was a surprise.
In New England, they're really very used to seeing severe storms of wind and rain. They get nor'easters that are very common in the winter season. They do a tremendous amount of damage. But the people of New England have learned to live with them. But nothing really prepared them for something that was quite like the storm of 1938.
As the hurricane roared up the east coast, the huge waves associated with it pounded the Long Island area. Matter of fact, they actually measured small earthquakes associated with the breaking waves on the coast of Long Island.
Across Long Island and the rest of New England, the storm cut a path that's established many new low-pressure records that have not been exceeded since.
I read an article once about the 1938 hurricane where a gentleman had purchased a barometer. And when he got home with it, it was reading so low that he thought surely it must be broken. And when he went back to the store and returned it, his house blew away.
But the hurricane saved its most vicious strike for Rhode Island. As the storm slammed into the mouth of Narragansett Bay, it drove a massive surge right into the heart of the city of Providence.
There was absolutely no time for them to prepare. And the degree of water even that came up Narragansett Bay was something that residents of Providence, Rhode Island are just not used to seeing.
In Providence, Rhode Island, there's a marker there that shows the level of water that accompanied the 1938 hurricane.
People woke up to find trees and power lines down all over the place, coastal communities flooded out by the surge, inland flooding from the extreme rainfall, and it would take quite a while for people that did survive to put their lives back together.
From New Jersey to Canada, trees were toppled and buildings reduced to rubble. In all, 600 people lost their lives. 60,000 others were left homeless, and property damage topped an estimated $300 million. For its time, It was the single most costly hurricane in American history.
Nobody living had ever experienced a hurricane of this magnitude. In fact, the last hurricane that struck New England that was any way comparable was way back in 1815.
They'd never seen damage on the scope of the hurricane of 1938, primarily because they've never seen a storm that intense hit with such rapidity as it did back in September 21st, 1938.
People have forgotten that storm, and their memory is short. And people just don't think hurricanes are a problem in that area of the country, and they really are.
The combination of fast movement, strong winds, hitting a very highly populated area, an area that was unprepared for hurricanes, and an area that didn't even expect hurricanes to affect them, led to disaster.
The Great New England Hurricane claimed more than 500 lives, caused damage worth $300 million. In 1938 money, more than 16,000 structures and 26,000 boats were damaged. It was a powerful hurricane, and the Weather Channel's #5 storm of the century. Coming up, your current weather forecast. But first, a storm that almost destroyed a city that still feels the effects to this day.